Brave challenges you?
Well, my other daughter, Gabriella, has special needs, and it was hard when they were little. She was little, and we didn't know what that would look like for her. There was a time when I didn't even know if she would speak. She was 18 months old, and we were just really starting to recognize there's something going on underneath, and we don't know how to put our finger on it. And as we began to learn more, spend time with doctors, I just thought, like, Lord, where's the trajectory of this going to go with my daughter? What's her life going to look like? I had no idea. You can't know when you're holding a toddler who can't talk what this is going to look like. And now she's 14 years old, and we're dealing with some of those still special needs, but we're dealing with them at a totally different level now that she's a teenager. Life looks different for her. She's in a public middle school. She's making friends, playing basketball, doing all these things. And so the fears change. And I still wonder sometimes about the trajectory, but believe God is not just believe that there is a God, but believe the promises that he has given to our children, which for me is he is always with them.
Yeah.
He is their helper. Hebrews 13:5 says he is their helper. They do not need to be afraid. And I don't need to be afraid for them. I have to believe all the things that he says that he's going to be: enough, sufficient, their defender, their shield.
Yeah.
And so really B is the hinge point for moms and dads as they start to move forward in courage is, do I believe that Jesus died for them? Yes. But do I believe that he's actively, presently working in their lives? That's the question I need to ask.
Yeah, I mean, it's so good. At a cultural level, I remember having a discussion with a friend of mine who's not a Christian, and he said to me, I get really worried when you Christians are really worried. Because if you're worried, I need to be worried. And that's applicable to our children, isn't it? When they see us full of anxiety, full of fear about whatever it is, that communicates something to them about faith.
Right. And they have to see us needing God for something.
Yeah, that's good. So that's B. R is for reflect in the acronym BRAVE. I'm going to keep repeating that for people bouncing in and out listening to us. What is reflect? What does that mean?
So reflect is spending time asking questions about where our children are in the middle of their developmental and spiritual growth process.
But you even take notes. I was really impressed with that.
Oh, I do.
You do it like a student, which I hated taking notes in college and high school because I'm an auditory learner. But I'm really engaged with noticing where my children are at. I mean, I was the one that noticed they needed glasses at 2-3 years old because they were watching television in a weird way, right? That kind of thing. But you're taking notes and being that proactive and knowing your children.
Well, I want to be honest and just say that there was a time that I set my son up on the counter because I said, you need to hurry up. We're going. I need you to get your shoes on, tie your shoes, and get in the car. And he looked at me and he said, I can't tie my shoes. And that should have been no big deal at age like 7. And I said, what do you mean you don't know how to tie your shoes? And he said, Velcro.
Right, exactly.
And I was like, what?
That's pretty normal today, actually. I noticed that.
I mean, he's wearing Velcro shoes and of course, but he also said, but Mom, if I need my shoes tied, we're always in a hurry. So my brothers and sisters tie them for me or you tie them for me. And I realized I haven't taught my son how to tie his shoes. First of all, what are his teachers thinking at school? But also, like, it's so easy to miss things because we're in the process as parents of just doing the next thing, surviving this. And so reflection is really important, intentionally asking ourselves about the developmental process spiritually, emotionally, physically of our kids at all times. And for me, I call this my quarterly review. So I try to, every 4 months, I go out with Mike. We print a list of the questions that I ask. They're in the book. They're on my website. I print the list of questions and we have a date night and we try to focus on the kids and ask, like, who are their best friends right now? Who is involved in their life right now? How can I encourage them?
And that is good. I mean, and that's being engaged or reflecting what's happening with your kids. All right, the A in the acronym BRAVE is ask forgiveness. That's a good one.
Right.
But it's a hard one.
It is. There are no perfect parents.
Really?
Right.
I thought John was a perfect parent.
I think I've made that pretty clear. I'm not.
So
I think we've heard that that's not true.
Let's dig in. Give us your juicy asking for forgiveness as a parent example.
Which
Within
one?
the past week
right?
or so, you
Right.
know.
So there are no perfect parents. If we take ourselves off the hook from that, I think that parents think that it's weakness to admit to their kids that they just had a wrong encounter with them or their response was incorrect. But actually, in the kingdom of God, our humility is our strength. And so what we're looking to do is to create an atmosphere in our homes where it's okay to fail and come back again.
So critical.
So at the kitchen table at night, not every night, but occasionally, we go around and we say, what was the high of the day? What was the low of the day? I mean, like, we're pulling the stuff out of our teenagers. But also, what mistake did you make today? And Mike and I go first.
Yeah.
I mean, we need to be the first ones to go, what I did, what I said was not kind. And I am sorry. Because when moms and dads say, I'm sorry, then it's okay for them to say, hey, I messed up. And I need you to forgive me or help me. That's what I'm looking for.
Good modeling, though. V in Brave, what's V for?
Vigilant prayer. Pray like it depends on you.
Now, you sound like you've done that all your life, but that was a learning process for you, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, give us that.
Yeah. I knew that prayer was important. And even though I've been a student of the word for 20 some years, prayer felt like an area of defeat in my life. And I work with Moms in Prayer International for 5 years now. And I learned that most men feel incompetent in the area of prayer. We put such a focus on it, but we don't ever teach how to do that.
In fact, you're at a women's event, and your friend who you looked up to and you thought was this prayer warrior, when the person on stage said, how many of you have a prayer warrior attitude? She didn't put her hand up, and neither did you, and many other women.
Yeah, I don't know anybody who's gonna like, I'm a prayer warrior, pick me, let me jump up there, because there's always room for growth. But when it comes to our kids, we can't bank on anybody else praying for them, and no one knows your child like you do.
Right.
I mean, as moms, we know when a freckle grows on their skin. We're paying that close of attention. We can ask God for the details of their lives better than anyone else can.
And we got to give the E so it's not brav. So brave,
Thank you.
what is the E?
E is equip them.
And what does that look like? That's a big one.
We have to decide that this is our job. That is our job, not our youth pastor's job, not their teacher's job. It's our job to teach them what following Jesus looks like in this generation. And so there's some critical things that we need to teach them.
Yeah. In fact, Lee, you have a story. You and your daughter were on a wilderness race of some sort. What happened, and how did that equip her?
Well, our family was running a 5K together.
Okay, I'm out of here.
Yeah. I've never done it. Well done.
Good for you.
I said we ran. I didn't say we're running now.
That's okay. Anything with the word ran in it is really impressive.
Well, we woke up early in the morning, and it was my husband, my son, and Lexi Beth and I. And you just need to know, Lexi Beth ran 3 miles at 3 years old in flip-flops.
Wow.
I really think she's like Eric
One of
Little.
those
Like, she was just
naturals.
born to run. She likes it. I think it's torture.
Right.
So
I'm with you.
and so we started running, and I knew that we were safe enough on this course to let her just run. And there's not very often as parents with young kids where you're like, it's safe, you just do what you're gonna do. But we were with friends and family, it was fine. And so we started out, and I just said, you run till the end, babe, you run. And that was so fun. My husband has a bad knee, but he was running with our son, who's actually older than Lexi. And so we were running in 3 phases. I was at the back end of the race. And so I couldn't see her for most of the race. I could barely see my husband and my son running. But there was this place on the trail where there was a switchback, and I was able to watch Lexi round the corner of the trail and start to head to this hill that looked like a wall. I mean, just this huge incline. And I could watch her dig in and lean into that hill and push. And I remember being on that hill praying, watching her climb something that I was like, why would they ever put us on that hill, And I had the opportunity to pray her into it, knowing that I would be there too, but at a different time, and that she was running this race of her own. And we got to the end of that trail. I watched my husband and son hit that trail. It really just sang in my heart that there's a time where they run right beside us, and there's a time when we're going to have to cut the ties and let them run into the future on their own, trusting that the Lord is with them and that what we have left to do for them is to pray for them as they lean in and run their own race.
That's beautiful. What a great analogy.
Well, running has all kinds of analogies, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think that's why Paul says, run the race before us. It's just such a tangible thing.
Well, and again, that's what makes that acronym BRAVE so good. And we'll post that on the website, John.
Yep.
And Lee, man, this has been good stuff. I hope people get a hold of your book, Brave Moms, Brave Kids. You can certainly do it right here through Focus on the Family. And in a way, we're doing something